What's up, everybody?
What's up,
Welcome back to the
everybody?
Mindset Mogul podcast. We are your hosts, Josh Jacobs and Bradley Mora, and we are back with another episode this week. We are doing an accountability episode. We're taking accountability for all of the mistakes we have made and all of the good things that we have done as well.
So many mistakes.
I hope you guys enjoyed today's episode. If you do and you are watching on YouTube, we would really appreciate if you subscribed, liked, commented on the video. If you have a question you want us to answer on the pod, you can comment that and we will answer it. You can also email that into support@mindsetmogul.com. If you're listening on Apple, Spotify, Google, one of those, we would really appreciate it if you followed and left a 5-star review. Let us know if you get value out of these episodes. We really, really love doing these accountability episodes. It really helps us stay accountable. I know me, and we'll talk about this a little bit, but it helps me stay accountable in my own program and everything I'm doing. So hopefully you guys get something out of this and can kind of do it along with us and take accountability for your own weeks over the last week every time we do this. So anyways, how you doing, Brad? How you feeling, bro?
Dude, I want to apologize for the last two pods we did last week.
You don't need to apologize.
Like the way I feel now and the energy that I have back, it is night and day. It is quite the juxtaposition. But I'll tell you what, it's good to be back. I'm grateful for this pod because it helped me pull myself out of the depths of despair that I was feeling just because I treated my body so poorly for even really what was a short period of time. But this is the first time in my life that I've had multiple opportunities for reflection coming out of it. And I don't think I've ever had this level of clarity about what matters to me, how to cultivate it. And so, yeah, grateful to be here and feeling fantastic, especially compared to the last couple times that we talked.
I love it, dude. I'm grateful for the energy. I'm grateful for the sun, which has given me energy today. I felt like a plant just standing on the balcony and just soaking it in.
Dude, we are plants, like to a certain extent.
We are. I'm going to quote, we got to clip that. We are plants. Yeah, but no, dude, I agree, man. I mean, that's what I was saying when I introed us about the pod, like helping me, keeping me accountable. It gives me all these reflection points and it just keeps me, I can't really explain it other than this fact that it just keeps me thinking about a greater purpose than whatever instant gratification I'm looking for in having the drink or in eating the shitty food or whatever it is. It just keeps me connected to the higher purpose, which is something that we talk about all the time, which is having a strong enough why to carry you through the times that are tough. And there's tough times every single day. And having this pod and doing these accountability pods keeps me connected to that purpose way more often than anything I've done previously. So I think that's what's helping me so much, just in general.
I think that's the lesson in and of itself is, as with everything, it all takes repetition and essentially as close to daily practice as you can. Like you wake up each morning and I'd say over time, you build the muscle of becoming the person you want to be. But the more forcing functions, the more times you can bring attention to it, i.e. us talking about it on the pod, it's a huge point of leverage in building the identity that you want, which is really just a function of doing it's the actions you choose to take over time. So this is just us taking an action over and over again, but it's nice because it's on the calendar, it's with somebody else, and it is a little uncomfortable, which is, I think is a great exercise for us. But yeah, I think there's just a lesson in what this pod does for us. For anybody that's listening, that repetition and whatever you're doing is critical, especially as it pertains to mindset, because your mind is not your friend. It's your mind. And you need to put the rails in, you got to put the time in, you got to put the meetings on the calendar to keep you on track.
And by the way, one cool thing would be to kind of involve you guys, the audience, in this if possible. I mean, if you're comfortable, share in the comments what you've done well this week and what you haven't done well over the last week, and kind of take accountability with us. It would be cool if you get in the habit of taking accountability every week, the same times that we take accountability. And if that's not in a comment, then so what? Do it with a friend or do it with yourself in a journal or whatever it is. But just like Brad said, bringing awareness to it on a more regular basis is something that will really help you. And you also touched on something else on building the identity of somebody that you want to be. And this just made me think of this, kind of off topic, but so I'm doing 75 hard phase 1 right now. And one of the tasks that you have to do every day is 10 minutes of dedicated visualization. And in this visualization, I have like there's multiple different facets, right? There's like how I imagine my identity, how I imagine my impact, how I imagine my daily lifestyle, how I imagine like the material things that I have. Like there's all sorts of different facets to my visualization. But at the end of the day, the most powerful one that I focus on is my identity. Who do I want to be? It's taken practice for me to really visualize the person that I want to be. But what's really cool about it is I just finished, I think like day 20 or something. It's crazy how fast it's going by. But I've gotten to the point where now every time I start the visualization, my mind goes to like, who is the person I want to be? And I literally say out loud to myself, like, the person I want to be is a fit person who is active every single day, who eats healthy, who demonstrates a proper lifestyle to himself and those around him. And I'm literally like telling myself in my head the identity of the person that I am going to become. And doing that for 20 days in a row has like, it's built into my subconscious now. Like I think about it throughout the day all the time without me even doing the dedicated visualization. And that's only with 20 days. Anybody can do something for 20 days. So I just wanted to put that out there because you touched on, building the identity, and that's like been a huge great thing that's come from this 75 hard phase 1 is that just repetitive visual in my head of this identity that I am building. And it's helped me take the actions of the person that has that identity in every single daily moment. So random tangent, but yeah, that has been freaking great for me. Do you do any sort, and then we'll jump into the accountability stuff, talk about our weeks, but do you do any sort of dedicated visualization, or like, I know we talked about meditation a lot, but
it's like with everything. This is why having challenges, I think, is so effective. I have done it historically and in seasons. And then, but my natural setting is not to go sit down and do visualizations. I mean, nobody's natural setting is to go do that. That's the point. And so it's funny you said that. I literally woke up, it was 2 days ago, and I was like, there was a point in time, like it was definitely during 75 hard, that I was committed to doing visualizations. I was just doing it consistently because I was on a program. It was just easy. Plugged in some stuff on top of it and was consistent. And I haven't been doing that. And it made me question. I was like, what exactly am I driving for right now? Do I have a clear picture for that in my head? It's almost like the map for what you're doing, how you spend your time, who you want to be. All of that gets a little muddled without the visualization practice. It's just it's not an obvious way. It's a distinct way to go clearly have a vision in your head for what you're building towards, so that you're not wandering aimlessly. Because you're like, what's the point? What am I working towards? You got to have some endpoint in your mind, which is why challenges are so nice, because they're like, I have the challenge in my head of doing this for 30 days. But the same principle applies to the visualization. It's like how you spend your time, what you're doing, what are you building towards. Visualization just is a very practical way to continue to come back to that, to make sure that you're headed in a direction versus wandering aimlessly. So I would just say it's very cool to have watched you go from like 0 to where you are now. And in 20 days, like this has just been live in our conversations on the pod, watching you evolve through this process. And so it feels so doable for me, because I'm like, I literally just talked to you 3 weeks ago about this, and then have watched you do it now, and then watched it have the profound impact that it has on just your general psyche. And so for anyone that's listening, like Josh has made it very clear that this can be done. It's not a huge life intervention. And then after 3 weeks, it's like you're producing magic. Yeah. So
75.
That was a tangent on top of a tangent. But,
no, dude, it's great. And I think so to bring it all back, like about building the identity and being clear on it in its simplest form. This is why I love Wes Watson. In its simplest form, Wes says, create the man you admire and give him to the world. And That to me is basically where my visualization goes to my identity every single day. Like, who is the person I admire, and how can I give that? How can I become that person and give that person to the world? And to simplify the way that I view creating the identity, that's Wes puts it perfectly. Create the man you admire in every single way, and then give that man to the world. So yeah, I think let's jump into some accountability stuff. Let's talk about the last week, how we've done. How have you done? I know you went on another trip and connected with your sister, which is awesome. I'd love to hear about that. How did that go?
Yeah, that, like, at a broad level, I had set the intention of staying close with my family, sister specifically. And so it's probably 2 months ago now, but I reached out to her and said, hey, we got to do just a trip together, you and I, and followed through on that.
I remember you
I did
talked
all the
about
planning.
it on the pod.
Yeah, I did all the planning, which is not usually how these types of things go, but got us booked. We went to Carlsbad Caverns, which is a fantastic, it's kind of a pain in the ass to get there, but it is a cool, like, single day national park experience. Giant caves, like, really, it's like alien landscape. It's like nothing I've ever seen. Again? But it's in New Mexico, Carlsbad, New Mexico. Cool. So you fly into El Paso and then you drive like 3 hours to New Mexico. And yeah, so definitely it's an interesting vibe out there. It was a lot of fun. And so that, on like a macro level, just good follow through on something that I set an intention for, definitely has a very positive impact on the relationship that I had with my sister. We had a great time. It was just the two of us. I'd say settling back in, it honestly took me, I clocked it because I would like observe my mood and how I was feeling every day. And I can, at this point, I'm like self-aware enough to know the minute I wake up, I went through this like evolution of waking up with like terrible anxiety, still feeling like tired and lethargic. That eventually just went to like what I would say is like a medium to low mood state. And then finally, like probably Sunday. So even through the trip, I would say I was like still in recovery slightly from the prior weekend for the bachelor party. So it was just a good like lesson for me on how large of a consequence going, I'll just call it off the rails is, and just how much I need to take that into account for what it does to my energy levels, my entire perception of what it is, like just the foundation of how I'm thinking about my life, like the energy level that you have, the mood that you have, all those things just make it harder to maintain a good mindset. And so as opposed to it being synergistic where you have a good mindset, your body's right, and I'm like, now I'm back and I'm cooking. Like, I would say it was a battle for the entire week where I was like, I am fighting to have my mindset where it needs to be. I'm fighting to get to the gym. I'm even fighting to eat the right foods because I'm like, there's just like a coddling that's like taking place. And so,
to me, by the way, is when you say that your clarity and your options for what is available in your life is so limited after having like a weekend of drinking, or when you're hungover and when you're not dialed, essentially. I'm just going to use the word dialed. When you're not dialed, your clarity and your awareness of opportunity is extremely low. And when you're dialed, all of a sudden you have this clarity. You feel like all these things are possible. You just have a new outlook on, what is possible in your life. It's crazy how, number one, how connected it is, how correlated it is of being disciplined and clarity and, positive outlook on your life. And it's also crazy how quickly that can change. Like, you can go from 1 week feeling like shit, having no clarity, having a lower outlook on your life, and then all of a sudden you're dialed and you're way more clear and you have a way more positive outlook on your life in under 10 days.
100%. Like, I was in like a chemical state of depression for lack of like that, and that just in the withdrawal period of like alcohol, I get that feeling. And it's like, so you go from there. And then if you let it persist and you continue downward spiraling, because I've done like in a prior life, that's what I would have let happen. And then I'd go weeks on end where I just like don't feel good. And I'm like in a woe is me self-pity state. Whereas instead this was just like, I got to just go kick my own ass to get myself back where I know I can be and feel. Because I felt it all in 75 hard. I had like 75 days of point of reference where it's like, this is what it's like to feel great and to be dialed. And so it's a good point of reference just to know and have that in your life. Even one time, I've had it more than that, but like, that's just like the most recent example. And I'm like, I can go achieve that. And you're right. In this case, also, I'm like in my 30s. It's probably in your 20s. That timeline is even shorter. I think it just gets a little bit longer as you get older because of the recovery. But yes, in 10 days, now I'm how I like the natural vantage point of how I look at my life, my options, what happens if I take action, what it takes to go take that action. All those things are so much simpler than they were 5 days ago. And it's just like, just clean up the food, go get to the gym, make sure I'm like going to bed on time and then waking up at a consistent time. And all of a sudden my entire life turns around.
And I'm sure not
like
drinking is a huge part of being able to do all those things.
Well, because not drinking, screws up the mood, screws up the sleep. And those are two big buckets to miss. And so, I haven't drinking since that. And it all comes back naturally if you just take care of the foundations. And that's where I'm at now. And I think is the next step. You being on a challenge has inspired me. I need to sit down and determine like what's going to make me most optimal I would say the one constraint being, I don't want to, my girlfriend was a great sport when I was on 75 hard. I don't necessarily want to like limit certain activities that we can do together, but come up with a challenge for a 30 to 100 day period and just chase that to make it simple again on like what good looks like for me. So that's for the next accountability pod, I'll have that teed up and set. So hold me accountable to that and we'll be executing against
Sweet.
it.
Okay. Yeah, that sounds good. Yeah, man, I've felt great like the last week. Just same thing. Just been super dialed.
Yeah, dude, you're feeling good all the time,
well,
right?
There was something I wanted to talk about and I totally forgot. But let me try to retract my memory from the last week right now, because I had a moment during the last week where I was, there was this, I forgot what day it was. Maybe it was Friday, maybe it was Saturday, and maybe it was Thursday. I don't even know. But I didn't do my gratitude practice when I woke up for whatever reason. I don't know. I woke up and like, I just had a bunch of, I don't even know what happened. I just woke up and.
Did you just like hop into work?
I don't even know if I hopped right into work. To be honest, I can't. The days are blending together and I can't remember properly. But what I do remember for 100% sure is that I did not do my gratitude practice in the morning. And now I remember. Okay. So I'm going through the day and I'm just feeling off, right? Like I'm dialed, like I'm doing all my stuff, but I just felt off. I was having trouble, like just getting myself to do anything. Right. And a million sirens were coming by the house and I just got very frustrated. I was like, it was a nice day out. I had my door open and every 3 minutes there was a siren and I was just going nuts. Like I was driving myself crazy. I could have just closed the door and not enjoyed the nice weather, whatever, it would have been fine. But I was driving myself crazy and I started looking for a new condo, looking for a house, like scrolling Zillow, all this stuff. And I found myself immediately decreasing appreciation for where I currently live and like falling into that desire of, I want this, I want that, I want that. You know what I mean? And I watched a video on YouTube and it was, what video was it? I think it was Steve Will Do It video. And he was going, and actually it wasn't on YouTube, but he was going and basically changing these people's lives in Nicaragua who live in like I don't know what else to call it, but literally like a shack, like made out of, scrap metal. And I saw him give them, like $100,000 each or something, and just how grateful they were for it and how much it literally changes their lives. And I saw where they live. And instantly I just thought, man, I am such a piece of shit. How am I not grateful for being in this place right now? Like, who cares about the sirens? Who cares about all this other stuff? And instantly went to gratitude and felt like such a piece of shit that even for 1 second I wasn't appreciative. And it was like this moment that clicked, and I wanted to talk about it on the pod because it's such a great example of how powerful gratitude is. All of a sudden I'm feeling unappreciative. I'm desiring all these other things. And then I see that one thing and I snap back into, holy shit, I just got to be grateful. Like I am so freaking lucky. Like, sure, I still have desire to do all this other stuff, but just because I have the desire to do all this other stuff doesn't mean I can ever lose the gratitude for what I currently have. And I wanted to talk about it because it was such a powerful reminder to me. Other than that, my mood has been good all week, but that one day I was just driving myself crazy. And I
think you hit on an important topic. I heard it was Matthew McConaughey in his pump up podcast rounds that he did for the event that I put on a couple weeks ago. But he had talked about the concept, and it was rooted in the Bible. I'm not going to dive into too much of that because I don't want to misexplain like it from the Bible perspective. But the concept was you can hold two conflicting ideas at the same time. And that like there's like a godliness in that, and that it's extremely important. And you think about it from like a mindset mogul perspective, you're holding two conflicting ideas. One, I'm extremely grateful for what I have. Two, I still have desires. There still is a distance between where I'm at and what I want to do, and I need to take action to close that gap. But being able to hold those things at the same time, I think is a super powerful mindset shift and tool to just have both. And I think that's part of being a high operating human, is being able to hold both those ideas at the same time.
That was great. Yeah, that was good. That was awesome. Thank you for bringing that up. I do remember that. We were watching that. You brought that up when you were at my house. The Lewis Howes and Matthew McConaughey interview. That was good. So I agree with that. I think that was a big moment for me. Other than that, I was super dialed all week. I felt great. I went out to a rooftop on Sunday. It was the first time I ever went to a rooftop. Didn't have a single drink. Ate, a keto meal. Like it was good with friends. And that was like another huge moment for me, is just going out to a rooftop on a beautiful day in Chicago. And if you listen to the pods, you've heard me talk. Like, when it's a beautiful day out in Chicago, I want to go to a rooftop and have a drink. Like, that's what you do here. That is literally what you do in this city when it's nice out. You go to a rooftop and you have a drink. And, it was very strange for me to go to a rooftop and not have a drink. Like, I'm just going to go up here and have an omelet, So that's what I did. I went up there and I had an omelet. It was for brunch. It was during the daytime. It was like 2:00. And, it was fun. We actually hung out there for like 4.5 hours. We were there the whole day and I didn't have one drink. And I felt very accomplished when I came home and, had a good night's sleep, woke up the next morning feeling energized, and it just fed into the identity of the person that I want to become. And I'm not saying I'm never going to have a drink again. Like, I'm going on my honeymoon in less than 2 weeks, and I'm going to have some wine in Italy. Like, there's no doubt about it, but we'll see. I definitely know that I want to limit my alcohol intake. I definitely know that I don't want to. I definitely know that I want to be more programmatic and disciplined than I've ever been in my entire life. Like, the more that we do this pod, it's been a couple months now, the more that I realize, like, this is my mission in life. This is my purpose in life. I need to, as Wes says, create the man I admire in every single way and give that man to the world. And every time I do something that I don't admire, the first thing that comes to my mind now is that saying, create the man you admire in every way and give yourself to, and give him to the world. And when I go and, I haven't done this in the last 3 weeks, but before that, when I would go and have a drink, or I would, go and eat pizza or whatever, it's like, that's not the man I admire. That's me falling into my excuses and the instant gratification of loving pizza or whatever it is. And they say, well, if you don't have a cheat meal, how can you enjoy your life? Let me tell you something. It is having clarity and being a very purposeful individual is 1,000 million times more gratifying than having a slice of pizza. Like, there is no comparison. So yes, having the pizza is extremely gratifying, but the feeling of being the person that you want to be just outweighs that by so much. So I guess that is another big point, because I know people are going to say that. If you don't have a cheat meal, how are you going to, trust me, I'm going to have a piece of pizza again. Like, it's not like I'm never.
What an excuse, right? Like, how do you enjoy your life if you don't have pizza? I challenge you to go figure out how to do that. Like, humor me. Go figure out how to enjoy your life without a piece of pizza. I bet you can do it.
I bet so too. And don't get me wrong, I'll probably have a slice of pizza in Italy too. But like, here's why I bring this up, by the way, because, and I'm doing this in real time on the pod. Like, I don't know what's going to happen in the future, but what I do know is I'm going to document how I feel when I'm super dialed in, like I am right now. And also after coming back from the honeymoon, the first pod back, maybe I say, you know what? I had some wine, I had some pizza, but at the end of the day, I treated myself good. I didn't gain any weight and I actually still feel really good. Or I come back and I say, I drank a ton of wine. I ate a ton of pizza. I ate a ton of pasta. I gained 10 pounds. I feel like an absolute piece of shit. Like, or it's, I did all those things and I feel fine because it was my honeymoon and I'm not going to hold it against myself. I don't know how I'm going to feel, but I will tell you guys how I feel at the end of it. And these are all the things that I'm playing through in my head right now because, like I said, I am trying to create the man that I admire in every way and give him to the world. So of course I'm thinking about how I'm going on vacation in Europe for 2.5 weeks and what type of man I'm going to be while I'm there. So I don't know. I'm just figuring all this shit out in my head and I'm going to tell you guys as I figure it out. But until then, I'm dialed. I'm feeling freaking good. And I'm going to stay dialed until going there. So let's keep it going, baby. I feel good.
I'm amped up after that.
All right, cool. Anything else?
I think that's a great place to close it up.
Perfect. Guys, if you got any value from this episode, please subscribe to our YouTube channel. Leave us a like, a comment, give us a question if you want us to answer it. Stay accountable with us. What have you done well the past week? What have you not done well the past week? Where do you want to improve? Leave that in a comment. You can always email support@mindsetmogul.com. If you're listening on Apple, Google, Spotify, one of those platforms, we really, really would appreciate if you left us a 5-star review and followed the show. And with that being said, we will see you in the next episode. We got a bunch of guest interviews coming soon. Super, super excited for that. So stay tuned. We will be back. Have a great day.
Take care.